We all know breakup pain is tough. It's messy and honestly, it can feel downright unbearable at times. But what if I told you that this pain isn't just something to get through, but a stepping stone to something even greater? Well, today we are unpacking 7 science-backed ways to not only survive a breakup, but to actually grow and become better from it. Number 1, ask yourself better questions. Most breakup survivors, they whine about how life's not fair, and they keep asking themselves these really dumb, disempowering questions. Questions like, why did this happen to me? Or why do I have to suffer? Instead of prolonging your recovery with these kind of questions, just try asking yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I do to better my situation? How can I make this breakup the best thing that ever happened to me? Those are the kind of questions you should be asking. Second way of dealing with your breakup pain is to rebuild your belief system. Now let me illustrate this through a metaphor. Imagine you accidentally knock a treasured vase off its perch, and then that vase, it smashes into a million bazillion tiny pieces. Now, do you try and put the vase back together as it was, or do you pick up the pieces and try to build something new, something different, like maybe a colorful mosaic, right? Now, the vase put together by glue and tape, it represents those who try to put their lives back together exactly as they were prior to the breakup. They essentially remain fractured and vulnerable, but those who accept the breakage and build something new become more resilient and open to better ways of living. Now, the secret to overcoming adversity is knowing you cannot put your life back together exactly as it was, but you can build a new, more meaningful life. So that's something you should focus on. The third way to overcome breakup pain is to prepare for the worst. Envision everything essentially that could go wrong in a certain situation so you can mentally and, well, strategically prepare for it. If you can be comfortable with this worst case scenario, everything else in theory will become either pleasant or this neutral surprise. For example, if your ex reaches out tomorrow and you get really riled up and upset, have a plan in place, block them, then call your therapist and continue healing. So essentially always have a plan for the worst and do your best to stick to it. As for the fourth way of dealing with breakup pain, it's all about staying centered. So don't exaggerate your emotions. Breakup survivors, they often fall into 3 categories. First category, those who overestimate their positive emotions and become delusionally optimistic. Then there's those who overestimate their negative emotions and, well, they become downers and start to see their life as unfair and they just get really cynical and bitter. And then there are the people who are centered, not swayed excessively toward optimism or pessimism or, well, to put it in a modern fancy term, doomerism. Obviously, your job is to stay balanced, to avoid the pitfalls of distorted thinking and to stay essentially in the middle of this fictional, emotional overemphasis spectrum. So you shouldn't be overly positive nor overly negative when perceiving this breakup and what it all means. Now, another way of dealing with breakup pain is to simply accept the pain. Because look, here's a tough pill to swallow. The more you avoid something uncomfortable, the more it will persist. And the more it will make you miserable because you're avoiding it. Because avoiding breakup pain through distractions like video games or sex or drugs or even work, it only makes the pain grow larger. So instead of that, I want you to accept the pain, which means admit to yourself that the breakup happened, that it is traumatic, that you are suffering, and that all of that is fine. You should let yourself feel those feelings, because pain is an inextricable thread in the fabric of life, and to attempt to tear it out is not only impossible, but even destructive. I mean, trying to tear out the pain from our lives, it unravels everything else with it. All the good, all the empathy, and that's just not a life you want to even try to live. Anyhow, the sixth way of dealing with breakup pain is to create meaning in suffering. So the theory goes that a breakup is just a shitty thing that happened to you, but the meaning you construct around it, well, it makes it either a gift or a curse. You can choose to believe that you're an unworthy, sack of shit person because of the breakup, or you can see it as this thing this experience where you made a few mistakes that really have nothing to do with who you are as a person, with your identity. And so, obviously, you feel better about yourself, whereas if you perceive yourself as unworthy because you got into a breakup, you feel worse about yourself. You feel disempowered as opposed to empowered. So the lesson here is that tying your breakup to a disempowering meaning, it makes you miserable. It's not something you want to do. But when you tie your breakup with an empowering meaning, it pushes you toward growth, toward resilience, and that's what you want to do. You want to reframe your story that you're telling yourself into one that leads to positive outcomes and makes you feel better, instead of, having your narrative be all about leading you to negative outcomes, of course. Anyhow, the last way of dealing with breakup pain is to simply enjoy the chaos. Now, this might sound weird, but try to find some sick pleasure in suffering, in your suffering. Even though it hurts right now, for example, this pain will likely make you a better, more resilient, and emotionally developed person later on, sometime in the future. So identify with your pain. Be proud of your persistence, and lean into the whole thing. As cheesy as all of this sounds, when you're in pain, I want you to think, yeah, fucking choke me, bitch. Fucking choke me. I want you to find your inner masochist and take this strange pleasure in your pain. I want you to be proud of it. Leverage that to heal your heart and grow into a better version of yourself. So that's it from my side. If you want to go deeper into all the ideas that I mentioned in this video, you really want to download my recovery cheat sheet, which is available for download via the link in the description below this video. So give that a look. Really cool resource. It's free, by the way. And I'll catch you guys and gals later. Take care.